Caring Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QandReview. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QandReview.com. That is INFORMATION@CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 11th of July, from the news section. Shipbuilding was my inspiration for bridge. Article written by Craig Ross. World-renowned architect Tony Kettle has revealed the inspiration for the new Renfrew Bridge over the River Clyde. Having previously designed buildings and landmarks across the globe, including the Falkirk Wheel and Europe's tallest building, Tony jumped at the chance to take charge of the Clyde's newest crossing. Tony said, "It's fantastic to work closer to home. It means more if you are given a chance to contribute to improving people's lives close to where you live." The new bridge is due to open this autumn, and it is shipbuilding which is the main inspiration in its design. Tony said, "It was a rare opportunity to celebrate all that's special about this place, to remind people of the rich industrial heritage that occurred on both banks of the Clyde. What better way to celebrate it than with a new innovative moving structure? The new crossing will connect Renfrew with Yoker and Clyde Bank directly for the first time and hopes to improve work, health, education and leisure opportunities on both sides of the river. The Renfrew Bridge is both a physical and symbolic connection, a celebration of the coming together of two communities that will undoubtedly benefit from having closer ties," said Tony. "It will create a gateway and a destination that should bring more people together to enjoy the river bank and celebrate the history and rich cultural heritage that they share," he added. On a recent visit to see the arrival of the final section of the bridge, Tony said, "It's fantastic to see the bridge in the flesh, and I'm honoured and immensely grateful to the engineers and fabricators for their skills and ingenuity to make it a reality. It will clearly improve transport connections between Clydebank, Yoker and Renfrew, but it will also give a focus and raise the profile of the towns as people and businesses are attracted to one of the longest span cable-stayed opening bridges in the world. People will be proud, and it will be a real landmark for the area and the seed for much wider regeneration." With more than 35 years of architectural experience, Tony has reflected on the inspiration for his widely appreciated work, the Falkirk Wheel. It was while playing with his daughter and her Lego that he felt the creative spark for the project, and this led to a design which has been featured as an example of Scottish innovation on the £50 note and within the British passport. "I was making a Lego helicopter for my daughter and realised the gearing could be used to maintain the horizontality of the caissons containing the water and boats. Maybe it's just me that would think like that while playing with Lego, but sometimes the simplest tools are the best to understand a problem. And my daughter is still waiting to get her Lego back to this day," said Tony. The new bridge is a key part of the £170 million Clyde waterfront and Renfrew Riverside project being led by Renfrewshire Council. The project is jointly funded by the UK and Scottish governments through the £1.13 billion Glasgow City Region City deal. And that article was written by Craig Ross. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 11th of July, from the news section. Byres Road locals have their say on new cycle lanes. Business owners and residents share their views on the new addition to the West End street. This article is an exclusive by Nicole Mitchell. New cycle lanes unveiled in the city's West End have been met with a mixed response from locals. The cycle lanes are currently in place on Byres Road between Dumbarton Road and University Avenue. We previously reported the bike lanes have been welcomed by cyclists, environmental campaigners and others who argue better infrastructure is needed to make cycling safer and encourage more people out of their cars. The Glasgow Times spoke to some business owners and residents to find out what they think of the new lanes. Stuart Richardson, 60, owner of Graham's Auto Centre, believes the lanes could have a negative effect on local businesses. The 60-year-old said, "I just don't think there's any need for both sides of the road to have cycle lanes. They've widened out the pavements and they've added 2 lanes. Nobody's going to use the bike lanes because real cyclists don't use bike lanes because they get filled with all the rubbish from the road, so they all use the road anyway. I personally don't think it's worth the money that's been spent on it." He continued, "It can deter people from coming to the street, and if it's anything like it's been for the last 19 months, it's going to kill the high street, as you can see it already done in the likes of Sauchiehall Street. It's going to have a negative effect if people are deterred by it." Another local business owner, who asked to remain anonymous, is concerned that loading bays haven't been built right next to the cycle lanes. He is worried that anyone coming out of a vehicle to access the pavement could hit a cyclist as they open the door. He said, "If you're lifting stuff out, you'll get hit by a cyclist. I'm sure those who designed the road are not cyclists, because I'm a cyclist, and when cyclists are in a cycle lane, they're on their high horse, like this is my cycle lane. I just know there's going to be a lot of injuries and a lot of claims." The business owner claimed businesses had gone down in the past 3 months and says it is now difficult to find parking in the area. He said, "In the past 3 months, businesses has gone right down, and I'm not sure why. We've tried everything, but there's no formula. Every day is different, but in the past 3 months since this work has been done, we've lost up to 30% of business, and now it's fixed, it makes no difference. When there were parking allowed outside, people would just nip into the shop for a coffee or something, but now there's nowhere to stop." Dawn Laughlin, who works on a wall near you, says she doesn't think the cycle lanes will affect local business, but is concerned about the speed of some cyclists. She said, "The bike lanes are good for the area. It keeps the bikes off the road for safety, but my concern is the delivery cyclists flying up really fast. There's a lot of elderly people about here who could easily step onto that bike lane not realising what it is, and it wouldn't end well." Angie Dunn lives close by near to Kelvin Grove Park. Angie walks in the area a lot and feels happier with cycle lanes being available. The 28-year-old said, "I'd say it's a good change. It's nice there's something in place for cyclists to use so it isn't just the Wild West out here. And I like the colour, it's bright." Michael Harris often cycles in the city and lives in nearby York Hill. He says the cycle lanes could be great for the area. The 67-year-old said, "I hope it works. The one in Sauchiehall Street, which is built the same, doesn't work because people just wander onto it, and it needs more of a definition between the pavement, the road and the path. But I'm all for cycling to get more cars off the road if we can. I will use them once the weather gets better." John Turner, chair of the Byard Road and Lanes Business Improvement District, which represents businesses in the area, said, "We are very happy to see the first phase of the Byard Road City Deal project coming to its conclusion. The new pavements are a vast improvement on what was there previously. The view from the University Avenue looking down towards the new buildings at the corner of University Place is now completely different. The combination of the renovation works, together with the new campus development at the university, has already seen several new businesses opening in the southern end of Byard Road, and more are in the process of doing so, bringing a much needed revival to the area. The new bike lanes are already in use, especially by the ubiquitous delivery bikes, so this should hopefully improve traffic safety in the area. How much more use they will get remains to be seen. We look forward to working together with the council and the various transport and cycling organisations to encourage more use of the bike lanes, not just as a method of getting from A to B, but also to make Byard Road and the lanes a destination in itself, with its eclectic mix of local independent businesses, its health, beauty and fitness sector, and thriving hospitality venues. And that article was an exclusive by Nicole Mitchell. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 11th of July, from the news section. Joy for staff as famous face pops into pub. This article is unattributed. Restaurant staff at a village pub were left fangirling over a visit from a famous actor. Grey's Anatomy star Kevin McKidd, who also played Tommy Mackenzie in Trainspotting, visited the village rest in Luss recently. The picturesque village is often visited by Glaswegians and tourists alike for its stunning natural beauty and location near Loch Lomond. The 50-year-old was said to be very gracious in posing for a photo with a starstruck staff member. The team wrote, "The super talented and very cool Kevin McKidd of Trainspotting and Grey's Anatomy fame stopped by the village rest today. He was very gracious in obliging our staff member Sarah Louise, who went full fangirl and had to call her mum afterwards." And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 11th of July, from the news section. Students' tartan bucket hat to raise funds for charity. This article is unattributed. A tartan bucket hat created by a Glasgow Caledonian student will be sold ahead of Transmit Festival this weekend. Scotland's biggest music festival returns to Glasgow Green tomorrow with Liam Gallagher, Jerry Cinnamon and Calvin Harris all set to headline over the weekend. Fashion student Annabelle Mourinho's reversible bucket hat will be sold to raise funds for Beatson Cancer Charity. It can be purchased at the charity's website. Handpicked after students were asked to pitch ideas for lifestyle products, Isabella's hat, sporting Beatson's official tartan, uses waxed cotton for rain protection. Eileen Stewart, lecturer of fashion and marketing at Glasgow Caledonian, said, "The collaboration with Beatson Cancer Charity has been a fantastic opportunity to develop new innovative products with sustainability at the core. As a university for the common good, we're delighted to see our students make a real difference and help such a worthwhile cause." And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 11th of July, from the news section, tour treat for families. This article is written by Sandhya Suresh. Families of the Royal Navy submariners had the chance to see where their loved ones ate, slept and lived while they were deployed during a guided tour at HMNB Clyde Base. More than 200 people travelled from across the UK to join the family day on the Royal Navy's final Vanguard-class submarine. Lieutenant Commander Ian Coe, an engineer on HMS Vengeance, said, "The life on board HM submarines is a challenging and rewarding one. The conditions our personnel live and work in is difficult to explain. Giving the crew the opportunity to show their families where they live and work when deployed is extremely important and something we in HMS Vengeance feel strongly about." Following a meal in the HMS Neptune Super Mess, guests were taken to the submarine. The tour included demonstrations of sophisticated equipment on board, including sonar and optronic systems in the control room. Some even tried on firefighting suits and submarine escape suits. Chief Petty Officer Davis, an instrumental figure in organising the day, said, "Families play a vital role in the deployment and support of HM submarines and are just as key to operational success as the sailors on board. It is important that they feel involved and see where their loved ones spend their time while deployed at sea. It also gives our sailors the opportunity to say thank you to our families, whose support is vital in maintaining the morale of personnel on board." HMS Vengeance, which is part of Britain's Strategic Nuclear Deterrent Force, was launched in September 1998 and commissioned in November 1999. In an article written by Sandhya Suresh. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 11th of July, from the news section. Work begins on energy efficient homes. This article is unattributed. Work has begun on an energy efficient development of 26 homes in Bonehill. The development in Papert includes 5 4-bedroom houses to meet the rising demand for larger families within the area. It will include 6 passive house homes and a first for Western Bartonshire. The homes are super insulated and use components such as triple glazed windows and special doors to create an airtight building fabric. This reduces heating loss, requiring little heat, and decreases fuel bills for tenants. Alongside these, 20 more homes will achieve operational net zero carbon. The project has been funded through the Council, Vacant and Derelict Land Fund, and the Affordable Housing Supply Programme from the Scottish Government. This development is part of a broader initiative to address the unprecedented need for social housing in the area. Councillor Gurpreet Singh Johal, convener of the Housing and Communities, said, "This development is extremely important in responding to the changing needs of our residents. Not only does it meet the demand for larger family homes in order to reduce the risk of overcrowding, but these properties are energy sufficient and sustainable, with some of them adopting innovative passive house standards in a first for Western Bartonshire." Councillor Hazel Sorrell, Vice Convener of Housing and Communities, added, "I am pleased to see the progress which has been made, and I look forward to revisiting this site once these vitally important homes are built and ready for families to move into." And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section, Chippy owner buys old record store. This article is written by Gabriel Mackay. The Tower Records building in Glasgow has been bought over by the owner of the Blue Lagoon, though the fish and chip shop chain will not operate from the premises. The B-listed building in the city centre, next to Central Station, housed a music chain for many years, but the outlet closed in 2002. Music Zone took over the property, but closed the Argyle Street store in 2007. Famed for hosting a gig by Bon Jovi in 1995, planning was submitted to turn the former warehouse into a bar, restaurant and nightclub in 2013, but that never materialised. That followed a brief use of the building by That's Entertainment, which ceased trading in that same year. The property, 217 to 221 Argyle Street, was put up for auction in 2022 with an annual net value of £136,000 and a guide price of £1,755,000. It has now been announced that the former Tower Records has been purchased by the Blue Lagoon Fish and Chip Shops Limited. The company said, "The building is iconic in the city, and it's been regrettable that it has been empty for long over a decade. Our intention is to bring the full building back to life to enhance the area and the city centre in general. We see the property as a sleeping giant with lots of potential. We have a tenant lined up for the ground floor which will be confirmed in due course, and we are still assessing our options with regards to the upper floors. It is not clear if the lease which has been lined up by the Blue Lagoon will be a restaurant at this stage. As well as Bon Jovi, the likes of Texas and Delamitri played gigs at the store. The US company took over the building in 1990, its biggest outlet outside of London. By September 2001, it faced competition from Virgin, HMV and FOP on nearby Union Street, and closed 2/3 of the branch while cutting staff. A month later, it began offering discount records and renamed itself Tower Outlet, but closed its doors for good in May 2022. And that article was by Gabriel Mackay. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section, couple ran into burning building to help residents. This article is written by Ava White. A Glasgow woman said she and her husband didn't think twice before bravely running into a burning building to alert residents. Angela and Jim Ward had been on their way home from Jim's 50th birthday dinner at around 7:45 p.m. on Tuesday when they spotted smoke coming from a flat block on Colston Road in the north of the city. Angela explained that they sprung right into action after realising that a property was on fire, phoning 999 and trying to gain entry to the building. The 47-year-old said that within 5 minutes of arriving, the situation had escalated quite quickly, from just smoke to flames coming out of a window. Angela said, "We were coming back from the Daily Darbar just up the road as it was my husband's 50th birthday. It was just white smoke, so it looked like it had started as we were driving past. We initially thought it looked a bit smoky, and then we slowed down and thought, no, that actually looks like it's a fire. We pulled in across from where the flat was and I phoned 999. I think the fire brigade was there within 3 or 4 minutes, and in that time it had gone from white smoke to full flames coming out of the building. Before that, we were pressing all the buttons. A girl who had already managed to get access was chapping all the doors on the bottom floor, and she saw us trying to get in, so she opened the door. We started going up all the floors and chapping all the doors to try to get folk to come out. Both my husband and myself work in the NHS, so I don't think it occurred to us not to go and help. We eventually had to start coming out because that's when the house that was on fire's door got opened. The smoke started filling the close. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service confirmed 4 fire engines were sent to the scene to tackle the blaze. Before they arrived, a good Samaritan who Angela hailed as a hero turned up and knocked down the door of the flat where the fire had started to rescue the occupant from inside. The Milton resident added, "The man arrived and asked what was happening, and we told him we think there's still somebody in that flat that's in fire. He was trying to open the door and it wouldn't open, so he tried to knock it in. When we got access, the occupant was unaware that the house was on fire. I'm gutted I never caught the guy's name because he was definitely the hero. We went into the flat and then he and my husband helped the person out. We didn't think twice about it. It was a team effort. Following the incident, 4 people were passed into care of paramedics. It is understood they did not require further treatment. The blaze was extinguished by fire crews." A Scottish Fire and Rescue Service spokesperson said, "We were alerted at 7:43 p.m. on July the 9th to reports of a fire at Colston Road, Glasgow. Operation Control mobilised 4 fire appliances to the scene where crews extinguished the flames. 4 people were passed into the care of the Scottish Ambulance Service but did not require further treatment. Firefighters left after ensuring the area was made safe. Police Scotland said there were no suspicious circumstances surrounding the fire." A spokesperson added, "Around 8 p.m. on July the 9th, police received a report of a fire at a property on Colston Road, Glasgow. The fire was extinguished by the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service and a number of residents were evacuated. There are no suspicious circumstances." In an article written by Eva White. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section. Crematorium to close for 3 months. This article is unattributed. A Glasgow crematorium will be closed for 3 months from Monday for refurbishment. Lynn Crematorium, operated by Glasgow City Council, will shut to the public on July 15th to allow renovation work to start. More services will be held each day at the council's other crematorium, Daldowie, during the closure. Councillor Rory Kelly, SNP, convener for Neighbourhood Services and Assets, said the council is very sorry for any inconvenience caused by the work. He said Memorial Gardens, which can't be accessed while the refurbishment is carried out, will be protected. The crematorium is expected to reopen in October, although summer work on other parts of the complex will continue. Electrical and heating systems within the B-listed building will be upgraded, while St Mungo's and St Giles chapels and public areas are set to be redecorated. Books of remembrance will still be available for viewing at the office for Lynn Cemetery. The number of daily services at Daldowie, which recently underwent renovation, will be increased to help manage the closure of Lynn, and funeral directors have been advised of the change. Councillor Kelly said, "These are essential works that will make a significant difference to the quality of the facilities at Lynn Crematorium. We are very sorry for any inconvenience caused by temporary closure, and we can assure families that Memorial Gardens will be protected during the forthcoming works. Facilities at our Daldowie crematorium have been greatly improved by recent renovation work, and we are confident we will see a similar improvement at Lynn Crematorium. And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section. New COVID memorials. This article is unattributed. COVID-19 community memorials in 12 areas across East Dunbartonshire have been unveiled. The specially designed arbours have opened in areas including Auchinleer, Balderknock, Kirkintilloch, Lennoxtown, Lenzie, Milngavie, Milton of Campsie, Torrens, Twaker and Waterside. These memorials form part of the Remembering Together scheme, a national project funded by the Scottish Government and organised in collaboration with Green Space Scotland, East Dunbartonshire Council and the East Dunbartonshire Leisure and Culture Trust, EDLCT. It offers each of Scotland's 32 local authorities the chance to express their unique experiences of the pandemic through the medium of art. Elena Mary Harris, lead participatory artist and facilitator, worked with local communities during the first phase of the project to shape ideas for creative output to reflect diverse pandemic experiences. Engagement events like Twaker Beach Day, Milngavie Week and Kirkintilloch Gala Day use mediums like print, video and spoken word, enabling participants to communicate through creativity. 3 design options for covered seating areas came about from these consultations. The community members voted online to decide upon their favourite. Now, the project has hit success with 12 memorial seating areas installed across East Dunbartonshire. The 3 elements include a covered communal reflection space, a guided walk demonstrating how the residents discovered new paths during the pandemic, and unique soundscapes for each bench featuring local group stories, individual experiences, and local musicians' performances. The project aims to bring communities and artists, commemorating residents who lost their lives, the people who experienced change and loss, and how people came together during unprecedented times. And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section. Parade to take place. This article is unattributed. The Royal Regiment of Scotland, Scots, will march through Motherwell when it receives the freedom of North Lanarkshire tomorrow. The parade is held in recognition of the Scots' outstanding service to the country and the local area. The regiment, led by Cruachan, its Shetland pony mascot, will march with bayonets fixed, colours flying and pipes and drums beating. The parade will start at DL High School at 12 p.m, before moving down Hamilton Road and ending at Strathclyde Park Water Sports Centre. Following this, Kenneth Duffy, Provost of North Lanarkshire, and Lady Susan Haughey, Lord Lieutenant of Lanarkshire, will host a civic ceremony. And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section. School kids rushed to hospital. This article is unattributed. 2 school kids were rushed to hospital after a crash in Glasgow. Police say they were called to a collision between a van and 2 boys, aged 10 and 12, on St George's Road in the city's north. The incident took place shortly after 2 p.m. yesterday. Following that, the youngsters were taken to hospital, where medics said their injuries are not serious. It is understood police will not be carrying out further inquiries into the crash. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, "We were made aware of a collision involving a van and 2 pedestrians on St George's Road in Glasgow around 2:15 p.m. on July the 10th. The 2 male pedestrians, aged 12 and 10, were taken to the Royal Hospital for Children in Glasgow. Their injuries are not being described as serious." And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section. Violent rapist terrorised his 2 former girlfriends. This article is unattributed. A violent rapist who terrorised his 2 former girlfriends has been jailed. Charles Fife Morrison was found guilty of 5 charges, including 3 serious sexual assaults, following a trial at the High Court in Paisley on June the 12th. The vile 27-year-old targeted the women at various locations in Paisley and Edinburgh over 4 years. During his time with the first victim, he forced her to settle debts he had accrued, sold her belongings, took out loans in her name and forced her to take out mobile phone contracts on his behalf. He monitored and quizzed her about her mobile phone activity and isolated her from her friends, family and healthcare professionals. Morrison would throw items, hit walls and shout, swear and utter threats towards her. The abuser forced his victim to take medication which was prescribed to him and stopped her from leaving a property. During one stage of the tirade of abuse, Morrison violently assaulted the woman and held scissors to her abdomen. Morrison's second victim experienced a similar campaign of violence as he held a knife to her stomach. He also forced her to send him money and to borrow funds from relatives without paying it back. During the relationship, Morrison subjected the woman to violent attacks, including choking her, all to her injury and danger of life. The abuser took her mobile phone so she couldn't call for help and threatened to harm her dog. The brute was yesterday given a 9-year extended sentence with a 7-year custodial term. He is also on the sex offenders register for an indefinite period, and he cannot contact or attempt to contact his victims for 15 years. And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 12th of July, from the news section. Woman's family battles scabies nightmare. This article is an exclusive by Kirsty Ferrick. A mum has accidentally given her family scabies in Clydebank. The mother, who must remain anonymous, has been battling the parasitic infestation for more than 14 months after catching it at a caravan park. Scabies is an itchy rash caused by mites. It's spread through close skin contact and anyone can get it. The mites burrow their way beneath the skin and lay eggs, which causes a bumpy skin rash to develop, alongside an itching sensation which is often particularly prevalent at night. The mum believes she has now infected her toddler, mother, brother and other family members as she has struggled to receive treatment due to major shortages. She spoke to the Glasgow Times in tears about the situation, saying, "It has been a living nightmare trying to get rid of our scabies. I've accidentally infected my family. I'm disgusted that we have just been left to deal with this for such a long period of time. We desperately just need someone to help so we can recover and not keep passing it on to other people. I feel so angry and frustrated about being neglected for so long. This is very serious and the situation will only get worse. The main struggle for my family is finding doctors who actually know anything about the condition. We cannot be the only people suffering like this. How many more have and are spreading scabies?" Previously, doctors in the UK reported a sudden rise in scabies could lead to a nightmare situation. According to exclusive reports from The Guardian, cases of scabies have increased due to a shortage of treatments. The mother who spoke to the Glasgow Times claims she had been to visit the doctor 5 times before being diagnosed. She was then repeatedly told vital creams and treatments she needed were unavailable and has since been battling the condition for well over a year. In the UK, scabies are often treated with either permethrin or malathion. However, supply chain issues and the ongoing war in Ukraine have resulted in month-long shortages of the 2 treatments. A spokesperson for NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde said, "If you think you have scabies, visit a pharmacy first, community pharmacist, who can prescribe the treatment for the condition. If symptoms persist following treatment, contact your GP practice. Avoid close personal contact with anyone until the symptoms clear to avoid spread. We are aware there is a nationwide shortage of medicines used in the treatment of scabies. In most cases, GGC pharmacies have been able to fulfil prescriptions for scabies medicines by sourcing from wholesalers and manufacturers in line with health board policies and procedures. Currently, GGC pharmacies can fulfil prescriptions for scabies medications by sourcing from wholesalers, usually within 24 hours if available. If wholesalers run out of this stock, it could take a community pharmacy 1 or 2 weeks to source directly from manufacturers. And that article was an exclusive by Kirsty Fayrick. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of July. From the news section, Job Joy for NHS Apprentices, report by Sandhya Suresh. An NHS Lanarkshire apprentice who wants to become a nurse is among a group of young people who secured full-time posts with the Health Board. NHS Lanarkshire recently held an event to celebrate the achievements and hard work of their modern apprenticeship programme apprentices. Melissa Smiley, 23, worked with the health visiting team at the Holdworth Centre in Wishaw and spent a day with the phlebotomy team, learning about wound care and sutures. She now holds a full-time post as a clinical support worker in the Accident and Emergency Department at University Hospital Wishaw. She said, "Doing the modern apprenticeship with NHS Lanarkshire has been really beneficial and opened a lot of doors for me. I want to become a nurse, and I have been encouraged to pursue this for my future. The staff I have worked with have been very supportive and helpful, and I would recommend any young person wanting to experience the chance of a career with the NHS to apply for one of the apprenticeships with NHS Lanarkshire." Lorraine Scott, HR Business Partner, Employability, said the apprenticeship programme is a great way for 16 to 24-year-olds to gain real-life experience while working with the Health Board and pursuing college-level qualifications. She said, "Completing your programme gives young people the skills and experience which will help them to progress and succeed within their career, along with gaining recognised qualifications. We provide a lot of support on our modern apprentices throughout their journey, with mentors and an employability team to help them with anything they need, alongside the support they receive in the department of their placement. This year has been a year of challenges and triumphs. Our healthcare system continues to face unprecedented trials, and it is in these times of adversity that the true spirit of our team shines through. Our apprentices have not only risen to these challenges, but have also shown extraordinary resilience, adaptability, and a passion for learning that has inspired us all." Meanwhile, 18-year-old Jack Dixon, who works with the eHealth team at Kirkland and hopes to secure a position as a digital engineer, said, "I have really enjoyed my time working with eHealth team, and I would like to stay with NHS Lanarkshire. Everyone I have worked with, including my immediate manager, Lyle, have been very helpful and supportive and treated me like one of the team. The opportunity to learn and build your knowledge with the NHS is one of the best apprenticeships you can take, and I would encourage young people to think about it for their future." And that article was written by Sandhya Suresh and read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of July, from the news section, Labour will disappoint Scots, insists ousted MP. This article is unattributed. A Labour government will disappoint Scots and push them to supporting independence, an ousted MP has claimed. Tommy Shepherd was among the wave of SNP MPs ousted at last week's election, losing his Edinburgh East and Musselburgh seat to Labour and sparking what he said has to be a time of reflection for the party. But despite the SNP dropping to just 9 seats at Westminster, down from 48 at the last election, Mr Shepherd assured voters, "We will be back." Voters may have voted for Labour to get rid of the Tories, he said, but disappointment with the policies of Sir Keir Starmer's administration would see support for independence increase. "For the SNP comes a time of reflection on what has been our worst result for 14 years, he wrote. "A very, very bad result. But we will learn from the experience. We will regroup and redeploy in the service of our country. We will do better, and we will be back. Above all, we know so many who share our belief in Scotland becoming a self-governing country, lent their votes to Mr Starmer in desperation to get rid of the appalling Tory government. We know that unless Keir Starmer changes course on major issues like the two-child benefit cap, voters will again quickly be disappointed with Labour in government. At that point, they will revisit the option of taking control of their own resources and destiny. Scottish Labour Deputy Leader Dame Jackie Baillie said, "No politician should take Scottish voters for granted. Last week, Scots voted for change, and now a Labour government is delivering it. Change does not happen with the flick of a switch, but Labour has already started to work and to cut bills, make work pay, and grow Scotland's economy. This is a government in the service of working people with Scottish MPs at its heart." And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of July, from the news section. Man killed pal in home and left body for days. Report by Connor Gordon. A man murdered his friend at his home and left him for days in a pool of blood. Christopher Howe, 38, assaulted Paul Berry at his home in Glasgow's Castlemilk on Friday, November 18th, 2022. Howe repeatedly punched and kicked Mr Berry during an altercation between the pair. Howe went on to take a picture of his stricken victim and sent it to his father. He also texted his partner and said, "I have murdered someone." Mr Berry's body was not discovered until the morning of November the 21st by a friend. Howe was found guilty at the High Court in Glasgow of murdering Mr Berry. There were claps and shouts of "yes" from the public gallery after Howe was convicted. Jurors earlier heard and agreed evidence that the two men were involved in an altercation, and as a result Mr Berry died. Their friend Henry Mackay, 51, stated he found Mr Berry's body in a Monday morning visit. He stated Mr Berry's face looked blackish and checked for his pulse. Mr Mackay told the court that he then informed friend and neighbour Gordon Thompson. Mr Mackay said he was in for 5 seconds and he looked at his face through the door of the living room and said he was dead. A 999 call was made and medics pronounced Mr Berry's life extinct shortly after. Prosecutor Lindsay Roger asked Mr Mackay about a note he wrote dated from a previous Friday. It read, "Chris was in Paul's house." There was also a reference in the note to causing a nuisance. Howe's partner Tracy Wilkinson, 40, told the court that she spoke to him while he was incohesive in the early hours of Saturday morning. Miss Roger asked if Howe mentioned anything about blood, and she replied, "There was blood on his shoes. He said he had done something wrong, he just wanted to see me." The witness claimed that she later received a text message saying, "I have murdered someone," which she said she ignored. Howe's father, Charles Alexander, 68, stated that he spoke to him on the Sunday when he told his son he did a bad thing. Miss Roger, "Did he say what the bad thing was?" Mr Alexander, "He said that he thought the man was dead." The witness claimed that Howe then sent him pictures, which he deleted. It was agreed in evidence that the images were of Mr Berry lying in a pool of blood. Howe's shoes were later recovered in a green wheelie bin by police. Mr Howe was found to have suffered a fracture to his skull. His cause of death after a post-mortem was carried out on him was head injuries. Jurors also watched CCTV of Howe entering and leaving Mr Berry's flat on a number of occasions on the night of the murder. It was revealed that Howe has a previous convictions for assault, disorder and possession of an offensive weapon, as well as various breaches of court orders. Sentence was deferred pending background reports until next month before Judge Lord Colbeck. He told Howe that he faces a life sentence. Howe, also of Castlemilk, had his remand in custody continued meantime. And that article was by Connor Gordon. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 13th of July, from the news section. Trial for wireless device to help babies and youngsters. This article is unattributed. A wireless device that could help diagnose respiratory sleep conditions in babies and young children is being trialled for the first time with hospital patients. The Paediatric Advanced Respiratory Service, PARS combines wearable, wireless biosensors with mobile, app-based software to give real-time analyses of infants' breathing while they're asleep. Experts said the technology has the potential to improve remote monitoring and diagnostic accuracy in conditions such as sleep-disordered breathing and paediatric respiratory disease. The technology is attached using an adhesive pad and tailored specifically for children, as many existing devices used in hospitals are invasive and therefore poorly tolerated by babies and toddlers. Currently available for research use only, the technology is now being used in an early stage study with 150 patients from the Royal Hospital for Children in Glasgow, 75 from the Sleep Clinic unit and 75 from the Neonatal unit. Dr. Ross Langley, NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde Paediatric Respiratory Consultant, who has led the PARS project, said, "Detecting and monitoring respiratory problems in children and newborns can be challenging, and we know that existing in-hospital devices are invasive and poorly tolerated by children. We are pleased that PARS has now entered an early stage study with patients as we explore new ways to diagnose sleep and respiratory conditions in young children. This has been developed with industry partner PneumoWave and is tailored specifically for children. The device has worldwide potential to improve remote monitoring and diagnostic accuracy in paediatric patients." And that report was unattributed.
This is from the Glasgow Times, Monday the 15th of July 2024, from the Lifestyle section. Calvin Harris closes Transmit 2024 and drops GBX Classic. This is by Stacey Mullen, and verdict 3 stars. Superstar Scottish DJ Calvin Harris got the party started just as it was about to end by headlining the final night of Transmit. The rain started to trickle down on the Glasgow Green on Sunday night after a glorious weekend of sunshine and high temperatures, but that didn't dampen the ravers' spirits as he opened up his set with the Rihanna featured "This Is What You Came For," a song he produced and co-wrote with Taylor Swift. The Dumfries-born DJ screamed, "Glasgow, I want to see everyone's hands in the air just now." And everyone did just that before Bounce literally delivered and had the thousands of revellers well bouncing. Referencing the Euros final between England and Spain, Harris, who has a farm on Ibiza, teased the crowd. "I will give you an update. That's Spain, 1-0 up," indicating he had one eye on the beats and another on the score. As a DJ, he commands dance floors in all the right places, from Ibiza to Las Vegas, and now Transmit. But most importantly, as a producer, the biggest names in the music business are queuing up to work with him, something he showcased as he delved into his back catalogue during the 2-hour set. Outside with Ellie Goulding is just one example of that. There is no denying Harris' talent and his contribution to dance music, and the festival goers lapped it up. But it has to be said the production of the show was a bit lackluster. Flames and smoke were used throughout when the beat dropped, while stage lighting worked with the music. Perhaps the perimeters of the festival stage limited what could be done, but with a DJ of Harris's caliber, the expectation is always going to be high. The 40-year-old dropped in samples throughout the set, including Masters at Work, Track Work, which he then bridged into the epic Feels So Close, with its unmistakable drop before a remix of Gala Rossetto's Freed From Desire sent the crowd into a frenzy. We Found Love, another song he wrote and featured Rihanna's vocals on, was a highlight. The song is timeless and sounds as fresh today as it did when it was released in 2011. Showcasing the talents of others in his field, he played I Could Be the One, a track by Dutch DJ Nicky Romero, and the late Advocate. Finishing on a high with the GBX anthem Bits and Pieces and Miracle featuring Ellie Goulding, he said, "I want to say thank you so much for sticking around tonight. I know there was an important football match on." That article was by Stacey Mullen. This is from the Glasgow Times, Monday, the 15th of July, 2024, from the news section. New Cancer Research Centre to open at the University of Glasgow. This article is by Sandhya Suresh. A research centre will be established in a city university to find a cure for the most aggressive form of brain cancer. Brain Tumour Research and Beatson Cancer Charity are collaborating to open the Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre of Excellence, which will be based at the University of Glasgow and University of Edinburgh laboratories. It will bring together top brain cancer experts to find a cure for glioblastoma, GBM, an aggressive brain tumour with an average survival time of 12 to 18 months. The development has been praised by those affected by brain tumours in Scotland, like Antiques Roadshow expert and brain tumour research patron Theo Burrell. The 37-year-old was diagnosed with GBM in June 2022 after suffering from symptoms for 6 months. He said, "The announcement is great news for brain tumour patients like me in Scotland. Although I continue to make the best of each day, my tumour will return and it will kill me. My care has been excellent and new advances in science have helped me so far. However, only by funding research into brain cancer can we get closer to a life-saving cure." Another affected supporter is Claire Cordiner from Edinburgh, who has lost 4 family members to brain tumours, 3 of which were from GBM. She said, "To know there will be a Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre of Excellence opening in Scotland is just fantastic news. Nobody knows why this is happening to our family and others over and over again. There are no answers because nobody knows why. So it's vital we get the funding for this research to happen and for breakthroughs to be made. It would mean so much to me and my family that people are listening and people are doing something about it." More than 1,000 people in Scotland are diagnosed with a brain tumour each year, with 433 people diagnosed with a high-grade brain tumour. Financial support will allow researchers in Edinburgh and Glasgow to increase patient clinical trials and improve outcomes. Dan Knowles, Chief Executive of Brain Tumour Research, said, "New improved treatments for GBM patients are desperately needed. At present, new discoveries and approaches are not progressing quickly enough to clinical testing in patients. The Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre of Excellence will help bridge this gap, leading to pivotal preclinical proof-of-concept data to support clinical trial development for patients." Martin Corley, Chief Executive Officer of Beatson Cancer Charity, said, "This is such an exciting initiative and one which has the positive potential to make a significant impact into advancing research and ultimately new treatment options for brain tumours. I have no doubt this will result in a deeper understanding of the complexity of brain tumours and lead to a breakthrough in exciting new treatments in the years ahead." That article was by Sandhya Suresh. This is from the Glasgow Times, Monday, 15th of July, 2024, from the news section. Ridiculous. Paisley man hits out at council over neighbour's dormer. This is by Lauren Brownlee. A civil engineer has hit out at the council after they gave his neighbour the go-ahead to build a ridiculous dormer on their bungalow. Derek Adams, who has lived in his home on Glasgow Road in Paisley for 28 years, says it feels like the building, which is still under construction, is sitting on top of him when he's in his back garden. The 67-year-old had objected to the plan that was first submitted to Renfrewshire Council in 2021, but the application for a single-storey extension to the side of his neighbour's Dalfuil Court home, as well as a dormer to the front and rear, was approved. Derek, who lives with his wife and daughter, said, "As soon as we come out our back door, it's effectively sitting on top of us. The original bungalow was sitting high, but it's now sitting about 4 metres higher than it was. It's just ridiculous. If you read the council's requirements for a dormer, the first point is they must be small, discreet additions which retain the character of the original roof. This dormer in length is 13 to 14 metres. It's hardly small and discreet. Another point is that they shouldn't dominate the roof. Well, they're effectively creating a new roof. It's not really a dormer. They're effectively adding a second story. It's overdeveloped. But I'm not trying to get to my neighbour. I went round and spoke to him about it. I'm trying to get to the council because of the mishandling of it. It's not the neighbour's fault." After realising how big the dormer was being constructed, Derek had a closer look at the plans. In September 2022, a non-material variation request submitted by the homeowner was approved by the council. The local authority's decision notice states the changes are to various openings on the extension and rear dormer, which were detailed as the size and positioning of the doors and windows. The document does not specify any changes in the size of the dormer. Derek said, "What I realised was, between Revision A, the original planning application, and Revision B, the non-material variation, there was actually an increase in the length of the dormer. My understanding is that shouldn't have been approved under the original NMV request, and we should have been notified specifically, but it was ignored. Nobody picked it up. It was showing on the architect section, but it wasn't covered at all in any of the paperwork or in the original description of approvals. I have an email from the case officer confirming that the extension of that dormer along my face of the building wasn't included in the original application. So reading between the lines, it has been missed. The whole thing is a mess. Derek has made umpteen requests for a council officer to come out to his property to have a look, but these have been refused. They have certainly not come into my garden, and I offered, he said. I told them, come out and I'll point out where the errors are, and they haven't come out. A spokesperson for Renfrewshire Council said, our officers have visited the property and consider the development underway to be in accordance with the approved plans for the alterations to the house. The final design for the works was subject to a number of negotiated changes, which is often the case with applications for domestic properties. While the depth of the dormer has increased slightly under the new application, it is minor in comparison to the dormer as a whole and does not raise any overshadowing or overlooking issues. Any request for a non-material variation is at the discretion of the planning authority, and in this case we believe the changes to the original proposed design for the depth of the dormer were sufficiently minor to grant the request. That article was by Lauren Brownlee.
From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 16th of July, from the news section, East Kilbride cannabis lorry driver jailed after losing control. Article written by Ben Jolly, senior reporter. A driver who was almost double the drug drive limit when he lost control of his lorry and swerved into the path of another vehicle has been jailed. Anthony Campbell was behind the wheel of a Scania heavy goods lorry when he crashed into an oncoming black Mercedes GL320 towing a trailer on the A47 at Gowhorn on January the 3rd. The driver of the Mercedes, a 33-year-old man from Birmingham, suffered minor injuries, while the passenger, a 38-year-old man, also from Birmingham, suffered serious injuries and was airlifted to Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, where he underwent surgery. Campbell, 55, of Culross Place, East Kilbride, was uninjured and failed a roadside drug swipe and was subsequently arrested. 5 hours later, a blood sample was taken, which showed his cannabis level at 3.7 micrograms per litre of blood. The legal limit is 2. At Peterborough Crown Court on Friday, July the 12th, Campbell was sentenced to 2 years in prison after previously pleading guilty to causing serious injury by dangerous driving. He was also disqualified from driving for 4 years. In a victim personal statement, the passenger said, "When I was trapped in the car at the scene of the crash, I thought I was going to die. After my release from hospital, I remember seeing lorries diving on the roads and I was shouting 'slow down' and grabbing hold of the handles in the car. This was the first time it hit me how scared I was following the accident. I can't believe that someone would be so stupid as to drive a 44-ton lorry with drugs in their system. The whole incident has left me sad, upset and angry. What he did that day could easily have killed us." PC Boris Kahn from the Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Hertfordshire Serious Collision Investigation Unit said, "Campbell displayed unbelievable recklessness and ignorance in getting behind the wheel after smoking cannabis. It is nothing short of a miracle that the driver and the passenger in the Mercedes are still here today. While they continue to recover from their injuries, I hope the victims feel a sense of justice and closure following this sentence. Anyone who drives after taking illegal drugs is putting people's lives at risk, and it is completely unacceptable. Anyone with concerns about someone's drug taking can report it to police via www.cambs.police.uk/report or call the dedicated drink and drug drive hotline on 0800 032 0845. That's 0800 032 0845. And the article was by Ben Jolly. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 16th of July, from the news section, Glasgow drug courier, 23, jailed after M6 stop. Report by Alex Whittaker. A drug courier has been jailed for 3 years after he was stopped on the M6. Dylan Hayes, 23, of Harris Road, Glasgow, was sentenced at Preston Crown Court for possession with intent to supply Class A drugs, heroin. The court heard how officers stopped a vehicle, which Hayes was a passenger in, on the hard shoulder of the M6 just before junction 35 on the evening of January the 10th, 2024. When the vehicle was stopped, Hayes was seen to exit the front passenger seat and jump over the crash barrier. As he jumped, a blue bag was seen to fall to the floor, and Hayes was observed retrieving the bag before being detained by officers. Hayes was found to be in possession of the bag, which contained 2 blocks of brown powder, which later tested positive as heroin, weighing around 1 kilogram with approximate street value of £50,000. Recorder Aisha Siddiqui said, "There is no victim impact statements in cases like this. The reason you got into this enterprise was to fund your own drug habit. You do not need me to tell you about the problems drugs cause to our society. I accept you became involved either through pressure, coercion or intimidation. I accept this was an isolated incident. There is nothing to suggest you were involved in the direct supply of drugs. I accept you are taking steps to address your addiction and you've been clean now for the past 12 weeks. You have been using drugs since you were 14 or 15 years old, dabbling in drugs at the weekend and then using cocaine every day. It spiralled out of control. I accept you got involved because you had a significant drug debt. The offence is so serious that only an immediate custodial sentence can be justified." Detective Constable Andy McFarlane said, "Hayes was carrying a significant quantity of drugs when officers stopped the vehicle he was travelling in. Today's result shows the consequences that face those who travel into the county with the intent to supply drugs. We will continue to take robust action to target organised criminality in Cumbria and will pursue those involved at every level to ensure offenders are brought to justice." And that report was by Alex Whittaker. From the Glasgow Times, Tuesday the 16th of July, from the news section, exclusive. Man found in car after crash was so drunk he needed help to walk. By Ava White. A man who was found in his car after a crash in Glasgow city centre was so drunk that he had to be helped to walk across the road. Gary O'Donnell, 37, appeared at Glasgow Sheriff Court recently after pleading guilty to being in control of a car when the proportion of alcohol in his urine was 161mg in 100ml of urine. The legal limit is 67mg per 100ml. The court heard that police were asked to respond to a collision on Newton Street, A804, at around 8 p.m. on November the 26th, 2022. Shortly after getting to the scene, officers found O'Donnell in his car as he appeared to be intoxicated, slurring his words. He was asked to get out of the car and sit in a police vehicle. Cops said O'Donnell was unsteady on his feet and needed assistance to cross the road. A roadside breath test was then carried out, which O'Donnell failed. He was arrested and taken to Govan Police Office where the sample of urine was taken. O'Donnell's lawyer told the court that her client, whose address was not listed, would benefit from supervision. Sheriff Simone Sweeney endorsed O'Donnell's licence with 8 penalty points. He was also placed in a community payback order with social work supervision for a period of 12 months. Additionally, O'Donnell was tagged for 90 days, keeping him indoors from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. And that report was an exclusive by Ava White.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of July 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, Desperate search for 2 missing teenagers from Paisley. This article is by Ben Waddle. A desperate search is underway to track down 2 missing teenagers last seen 5 days ago. Noah Morton, 15, and Regan Hunter, 14, were last seen around 8:10 p.m. on Friday, July 12th, in the Gowdy Street area of Paisley. Police believe the pair are together and they may have travelled to the Fife area. Officers say they are known to visit Kirkcaldy and its surrounding areas. Noah is described as being 5 foot 6 inches tall, of slim build, with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a navy tracksuit and black trainers. Meanwhile, Regan is described as being 5 foot 8 inches tall, of slim build, with short brown hair and blue eyes. He was last seen wearing a black tracksuit. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, Anyone who may have seen Noah or Regan since this time, or who has any information which would be relevant, is urged to contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 3640 of July 12th for Noah, and incident 3579 of July 12th for Regan. This article was by Ben Waddle. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of July 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, Glasgow Hospital spent thousands to deliver paperwork to patients. This article is by Morgan Carmichael. A Glasgow hospital has spent tens of thousands on taxis to deliver medicine and paperwork to patients, it has been revealed. Insiders have said when someone is discharged from Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, the prescriptions and paperwork are not ready before transport arrives to take them home, meaning they are sent home by ambulance and their paperwork or medication follows later by taxi. According to the Daily Record, an ambulance insider put in a Freedom of Information request after being annoyed by the complete waste of money. He told the Record, the hospital wards routinely send medication and paperwork out by taxi after a patient has left the ward. I wish to establish how much money has been spent on this. The FOI revealed there has been a steady increase in the number of prescriptions sent out by ambulance since 2021. The total bill from 2020 to May this year for delivering paperwork to patients by the same method is £5,139.10, which brings the combined taxi bill to £48,373.87. However, NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde said such transport is only used in exceptional circumstances. A spokesperson said the transport items mentioned are in exceptional circumstances and are relative to the volume of discharges across GGC. This article is by Morgan Carmichael. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 17th of July 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Man died after being found unresponsive on Glasgow Street." This article is by Ben Waddle. A man has died after being found unresponsive on a busy Glasgow street. Police say they were called to a report of a man unresponsive on Argyle Street in the city centre shortly after 5 p.m. on Tuesday, July 16th. 999 crews rushed to the scene. Sadly, a 57-year-old man was then pronounced dead. The force says the death is currently being treated as unexplained. However, there are not believed to be any suspicious circumstances. A report will be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal. During the incident, Glasgow City Council said Argyle Street at Hill and Man's Umbrella was shut between Hope Street and Union Street. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said around 5:15 p.m. on Tuesday, July 16th, 2024, we were called to the report of a man unresponsive in Argyle Street, Glasgow. Emergency services attended and a 57-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene. The death is being treated as unexplained. However, there are not believed to be any suspicious circumstances. A report will be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal. This article is by Ben Waddle.
From Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 17th July, Lifestyle section. Collection to take place in Glasgow's Central Station by Ben Waddle. Collection is set to take place in Glasgow Central Station. Here's when. Glasgow City Mission, which is a charity fighting homelessness and poverty in the city, will host a collection at the train station on Thursday, July 18th. The good cause is looking for people to help out by donating new socks or new boxer shorts. On top of that, they will also be accepting financial donations for their work with those affected by homelessness, poverty and addiction. The non-profit organisation started almost 200 years ago in 1826. A spokesperson for Glasgow City Mission said, "Please remember tomorrow to bring donations of new boxer shorts and socks for our guests to Glasgow Central Station. We will also be accepting financial donations for our work with those affected by homelessness, poverty and addiction. Thank you." That article was written by Ben Waddle.
From Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 17th of July, Lifestyle section, Giffnock swimming pools to be closed for 8 weeks by Ben Waddle. The swimming pools at a leisure centre in Giffnock are set to be closed for up to 8 weeks. Eastwood Park Leisure has announced its pools will be shut from Monday, July the 22nd for essential maintenance. The facility, which is based on Rookin Glen Road in the town, said we expect the work to take up to 8 weeks. During the closure, those looking to use the pools are being advised to use the nearby swimming pools at the Barhead Foundry and Neilston Leisure Centre. Announcing the closure, a statement on the Sports Centre website says, "The swimming pools at Eastwood Park Leisure will be closed for essential maintenance from Monday, July the 22nd. We expect this maintenance work to take up to 8 weeks to complete. We are very sorry for the inconvenience this causes, but this maintenance work is essential, and we hope you understand that the safety of our customers must be our priority. Our swimming pools at Barhead Foundry and Neilston Leisure Centre are open as normal." It continued to say, "We have added additional public swimming sessions at Eastwood High Sports Centre. Public swimming will be available Monday to Friday between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. from Monday, July the 22nd to Friday, August the 9th. As the pool at Eastwood High Sports Centre has a smaller capacity than Eastwood Park, a band system
will be in place for 40-minute swims on a first-come, first-served basis. That article was by Ben Waddle. From Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 17th of July, Lifestyle section, Glasgow cafe heartbroken after giant ice cream cone stolen, by Ben Waddle. A Glasgow cafe has been left heartbroken after someone has nicked its giant ice cream cone. Langside Cafe, situated on the Langside Place in Shawlands, took to social media to reveal the devastating news on Tuesday, July the 16th. In the post, the eatery said the cone, which has sat outside the venue for 40 years and appears in iconic artwork, has been stolen. Following the heist, the cafe said they had only been left with the flake of the top of the cone. In a desperate search to find the sculpture, the venue is urging Glaswegians to spread the word of the theft and come forward with any information. In an Instagram post, Langside Cafe said, "Someone stole our giant ice cream. The cone has been outside the cafe for 40 years and appears in all the iconic artwork, and now all that remains is the flake. We are heartbroken. Please spread the word and let us know if you've seen it." That article was by Ben Waddle.
From Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 17th July, Lifestyle section. Glasgow cafe reunited with giant ice cream after it vanished, by Ben Waddle. A Glasgow cafe has been reunited with its giant ice cream cone after it was nicked. We reported how Langside Cafe in Shawlands was left heartbroken after someone stole its much-loved sculpture. Revealing the devastating news on social media on Tuesday, July 16th, the venue said the cone, which has sat outside the cafe for 40 years and appears in iconic artwork, had vanished. Following the heist, the eatery said they were only left with the flake of the top of the cone. Now, the venue has revealed they have been reunited with their giant cone. Taking to social media, the cafe said the huge ice cream was returned this morning, Wednesday, July 17th. It was accompanied by a note, which read, "Dear Langside Cafe, found the ice cream on its side next to rubbish, missing its flake. Assumed it had been thrown out. We are sorry. Hope it's not caused too much distress. Please forgive us. Couple of absolute melts." The cafe said it's back. Came in this morning and it had been returned. The flake reunited with the cone. Thanks to everyone for sharing this and helping us get it back. And a massive thank you to the person who returned it. The kids can hug the 99 again. That article was written by Ben Waddle.
From Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 17th of July, Lifestyle section, Glasgow City Centre pub to close for good after 25 years, by Rebecca Newlands. A Glasgow City Centre pub is to close for good after almost 25 years. The Lab, located on Springfield Court just off Buchanan Street in the town, made the sudden announcement to customers that Saturday, July the 20th would be their last day of trading. They thanked everyone who has supported them over the years and promised that a wee night would be organised to toast the memories of the bar. The Lab has been going for almost a quarter of a century, and in 2010 it was named Scotland's best pub. A spokesperson said, "It is with a heavy heart that we have to inform you that after nearly a quarter of a century, the Lab will be closing its doors for the last time this Saturday, the 20th of July. We would like to say a massive thank you to all our customers and staff, past and present. Without you, it wouldn't have been possible. For those of you not able to say a final goodbye, we will, in due course, organise a wee night out at a venue still to be decided to raise a glass to the Lab and share our happy and sad memories." Punters shared their devastation at the news, with one commenting, "Wow, very sad to hear, one of my favourite places in town." Another wrote, "Gutted to hear this. Many great memories of the lab back in the day. A third added, like everyone else, the lab has been our favourite pub for as long as I can remember. Good luck for the future. A fourth said, so gutted to read this, best pub in the town. That article was by Rebecca Newlands from Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 17th of July. Lifestyle section, new sports bar in Barhead has revealed opening date, by Ben Waddle. A new sports bar in Barhead has revealed its opening date, and it's soon. Lockie's, which will be located at 168 Main Street in the town, took to social media to announce it will officially open on Saturday, August the 10th. The new boozer will be home to 12 pool tables and dart lanes, while it will also serve up food and cocktails. It comes after we reported the venue initially aimed to open before the Euro 2024 tournament kicked off in June. Announcing the news on Facebook, Lockie's said, "You heard it here first. Saturday, August the 10th, save the date, more announcements to follow." That article was written by Ben Waddle.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.